folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. Welcome to episode 83 of McRae Live. The date today is Friday. It's Friday morning, folks. Friday, July the 24th, 2020. It's 11:03 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada. And it is another beautiful day here in Toronto. And what is the temperature today right now? Let's see. It's been such a... it is 25 degrees Celsius. That's pretty good. Pretty good. That's pretty good. What are we going up to? A high today of... Let's see. Drum roll, please. High today feels like 30 degrees. We're going to a high. It'll feel more about like 36 degrees this afternoon. Beautiful sunshine. Oh, that's fantastic. What is that? I always do this. I got to know my Celsius to Fahrenheit. 36 degrees Celsius is 96 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to be another warm one today in the city of Toronto. Welcome, everybody, to episode 83 of McRae Live. And today I want to just touch on Bill and Ted Face the Music. Quite a bit of information actually came out over the last couple of days. So Bill and Ted, of course, it's had its release date move several times. It is now being released, I think, on September 1st, if I'm not mistaken, but to VOD. Let me just double check this. I just want to double check, make sure. I'm pretty sure it was September. I thought it was September 1st. It's Labor Day weekend at the very least. Labor Day, September 1st. Yes, VOD and in any cinemas willing to play the threequel, September 1st. So this is interesting. This comes from The Hollywood Reporter. Due to the ongoing novel coronavirus pandemic, Bill and Ted Face the Music will bypass a traditional theatrical route to debut simultaneously on premium VOD and in any cinemas willing to play the threequel. I hate that word. So that's interesting. So yes, it is going to VOD, but if there are any cinemas willing to play the movie and you feel comfortable going to the movie theater to watch it, you can go to the movie theater to watch it if it's playing near you. So check your local listings. Check your local listings. Nobody says that anymore. Do you remember that time? It was like, such and such, rated PG-13. Check your local listing for details and showtimes. It's like, that's what they used to say. Rated PG-13. Check your local listings for details and showtimes. Back when you had to check the newspaper for that kind of stuff. You young children, you. So that's kind of cool. So it's going to VOD. This doesn't surprise me because it is a smaller film. I mean, the budget for this movie was about $25 million. Tack on, double that for marketing. Although, I don't know what they've spent on marketing now. Because obviously things have been upheaved. I mean, it's just not the same situation in terms of their marketing campaign. So what they've spent on marketing up to this point, I don't know. But the rule of thumb is you usually double it. Depending on the movie, you might have to triple it. But let's say they spent another $25 million to market the movie, right? So you got about $50 million there. Let's tack on another 10 just to be safe. $60 million. It's got to make $60 million probably to break even. And that's something that might be able to be achieved on VOD. Now, because the budget is very low, relatively speaking. A movie like a Marvel movie or a Star Wars movie, as you've heard me say many times, is not going to make $1.5 billion on VOD. The business model is just not there for that yet. Maybe in the future, but certainly not at this present time. But for a movie like Bill and Ted, which costs, relatively small, a relatively small budget in the big picture of things. Certainly, of course, if I had $25 million sitting on my table right now, I could make 25 movies. But nonetheless, cool. Okay, so you'll get to see it on VOD at the absolute least. And what's cool is that some theaters willing to play it, you can go to the movie theater to see it there too. So that's kind of cool. Now, they also dropped a new trailer as well, and I like this trailer much better than I liked the first trailer. The first trailer was fine. You could, you could sort of chalk that up to be a teaser, I guess, of some sorts, although it's not really a teaser. It was a first trailer. But this trailer gave me more of a sense of adventure. I really got the sense of adventure with this movie. It looks beautiful. You know, the colors are great. Like the color scheme in terms of the marketing of this movie, like all the different colors on the posters, the blues, the reds, the oranges, it really pops, you know, and I really, really like that. And you get a sense of that in the movie as well when they go off on their adventure. So I really do like that too. And I like this, as I said, this second trailer better than the first trailer because I get a much better sense of an adventure, a much better sense of the camaraderie between these two. And something I didn't know, maybe it's because I've been asleep under a rock or just because I've been so, you know, neck deep with It's Me, Billy. I didn't know that their daughters were going to be in it, not their actual kids, but you know, they're in the movie, right? Bill and Ted have two daughters, and I didn't know that they were going to be in it. So that's an interesting angle. Although I will admit, I thought it was a daughter and a son, and that I don't mean any disrespect to the young lady who's playing Ted. Wait, no, wait. Hang on a second. Let me just check something here. Before let me just check something here. Just wanted to make sure I check something. Yes. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that I got that right. Okay. So, although I have to admit, I'm a little surprised because I thought that Ted's daughter was a dude in the first time I watched the second trailer. Now, I don't mean any disrespect to the actress. That's just what I thought. Now, on second watch, because I read that it was their daughters, I'm like, their daughters? I thought that was a guy and a girl, like a son and a daughter. When I watched it again, it's very clear. Like, it's very obvious that it's a young girl. You can tell when you look more closely. But I have to admit, on first watch, I thought it. Now, then again, I'm watching it on my phone, right, on a screen that size. I'm normally in front of my big 32-inch monitor here that I'm watching things on. So, that could have been the reason. I was also watching it late at night. I also didn't have my glasses on. So to be fair, there are those variables there, right? But I think it was also because Ted's daughter, she's putting, and she does a great job at it. She puts on the like, hey, what's going on? So she lowers her voice a little bit. So it kind of had like a teenage boy sound, if you know what I mean. Like, hey, yeah, what's going on? In one instance there, like at the end, right? And I just, for whatever reason, I thought it was two dudes. I thought it was two young boy teenagers. Oh, sorry. I thought it was... two dudes. I have two dudes in my head because I have two dudes up here. I thought it was a guy and a girl, but on second watch, I realized, no, it's actually his daughter. It's two daughters. So that's kind of cool. However, the second poster they released, I don't like. I don't like the second poster. Now, when I say I don't like it, I don't think it's dog shit. There's dog shit, and then there's like, I don't like it. The first poster they released, which it was this one right here. Right. There we go. I got to go the opposite direction. This one right here. That poster is fantastic. That's a great poster. I would take that poster over the other poster any day of the week. And the reason for that is because it brings you instantly back to Bill and Ted. And it's like we're thrust in the middle of a moment with them, right? And you look at this and we don't see their faces, which is really cool. We're an observer here. We're sort of getting a sneak peek, like we're behind a curtain and we're watching a moment. Ted is in mid-stride, right? So he's walking towards it. He's not standing there. He's in mid-stride. Bill, same thing, right? Not quite as pronounced as Ted, but he's also in, they're walking towards it. And you get a sense, there's just like the fog and the colors and the lightning coming down on top of the phone booth. And of course, the phone booth to Bill and Ted is like the, Falcon to Han Solo. It's like the DeLorean to Marty McFly. I mean, come on, it's the phone booth, right? We get it. We know instantly, oh my God, this is a Bill and Ted movie. And there's a mystique around it. There's a mystery, around it. There's a bigger adventure that awaits them, right? It's been like 30 something years, almost 30 years actually, since Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. And they are approaching this for the first time. Like it's a real sort of, a new adventure awaits, and there's this mystery and this mystique around it. And like I said, they're in mid-stride, like it's a moment, right, from the movie, or it's a moment that we're like sort of getting a sneak peek on. They're slowly approaching this thing. It's a great fucking poster. It's great. It's a great poster. I really like it. Let me move over here. This poster right here, not so much. I don't like this poster, and I'll tell you why. Love the colors. Again, the color scheme is great. The color scheme is great. But this looks like a photo shoot, which it was. But I mean, it literally looks like a photo shoot. And look, I mean, I like the phone booth. I like everybody that, means something in the movie is packed into this phone booth. That's classic Bill and Ted. Cool. But it just, you put the kids on there and it feels like a Disney movie to me. It feels like I'm watching, Goosebumps Part 3. I mean, that's literally on a glance. If I didn't know, that's Keanu. That's Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. This is, it just looks like they're just standing there. Look at the other poster. Look at that one right there. Wait. Oh, wait. That one. There we go. Look at that one. It's so much better. There's so much mystique and mystery and awesomeness surrounding that. The one over here, that one, right there. There we go. Right there. You know what? I'll just say the one on my left, your right. Okay, the one on the right, it does nothing for me. And they're just standing there smiling like somebody was like, Bill, Ted, turn around. Oh yeah. Hey, Aunt Margaret. What's going on, dude? Okay. Hey, Ted, just kind of, look all right? Hey, what's going on? And their kids are like, what? Oh, like, look how awkward that turn is for Bill's daughter, right? Like, it's like she's doing like a 180. She's facing this way, but like her torso's this way, but her head like, yes, what's going on? And it's just, and then of course you got Ted's daughter just standing there like she's ready for like a School of Rock Part 2 or something. Like, I just don't I mean, again, obviously music is a big part of, their lives. So I guess you could look at that and go, well, that makes sense. I just don't like the poster. It just seems gimmicky to me, shticky, Disney-ified. They're just standing there. They're just standing there. It doesn't feel like we're thrust into a moment of the adventure. It doesn't feel like we're thrust into and again, it doesn't have to be mysterious and ominous and what's going to happen like the poster on your left over here. Not necessarily, I mean, but if you look at other Bill and Ted posters, they're usually, I know, like, there's the one, of course, where they're sitting on top of the phone booth and they're doing this kind of thing, right? But it feels like you're in a moment with them. This just feels like they're standing there and somebody was like, hey, guys, smile. Oh, yeah, cheese. Like, I don't like it. And I got to admit, nothing against the kids. Maybe the kids are going to fucking rock in this movie, man. Get the kids off the fucking poster. Get them off the poster. I just, nah, it's too, it doesn't feel, I just wouldn't have them on the poster unless they are like, and maybe they are. I mean, maybe they are a gigantic part of this movie, but I don't know. I just wouldn't have had them on the poster. And again, this isn't any it's not personal. It's not like I don't like these kids. I don't know the fuck they are. I'm sure I hope they do an amazing job. I hope they're fantastic, and maybe they will be, and maybe by the end of the movie we'll be like, oh, they were cute, they were fun. They did a really, really good job. But my first thought was, you released the poster on my left. Oh yeah, like it's so much mystery and mystique around it, and the sense of an adventure about to begin, and it's like, dog, you know what I mean? Come on. And then you look at the one on your right, and it's like, just feels like goosebumpy to me, and just not feeling. Here's another poster that's it's not an official poster. It's actually from the official, let me just see here. It's from the official movie booklet, I think. It is, let me see here. The image comes in, so the image I'm about to show you comes from the cover of a new tie-in book, Bill and Ted's Most Excellent Movie Book, the official companion, okay? So that's what I'm about to show you here. Let me just get these two off. Like that. And look at this. Now, this is not an official poster. This is Bill and Ted's Most Excellent Movie Book. It's a companion. It's like a tie-in book, right? Look at that cover. That cover blows the second poster away. Again, you're thrust into the middle of something, right? It's like, what's going on? What are they looking at, right? What are they looking at? Holy shit, like fucking shit looks intense with the lightning all around the phone booth and shit, right? And the sparks and the doors open, and they're there, and they're like this, like, it's a cool poster. Way better than the one of them standing there with their daughters like it's Goosebumps Part 3. Like, way better. Way better. I keep saying Part 3. Is there a Part 2? I know there's a Part 1. I think there's a Part 2. Yeah, I think there is. Anyway, I don't feel Disney when I look at this. Do you? I don't. But when I look at something like this, come on, like, again, which one do you prefer as a poster? Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with the poster on your left. There's nothing wrong with it. It's beautiful. The colors are great. Everybody is symmetrically, like it's well designed. Everybody's positioned right. I like where the title is, and the phone booth between Bill and Ted. That's always good, and there's nothing wrong with it in and of itself. But when you have other posters to look at that clearly define the adventure and clearly define the mystery and the sense of urgency that is looming on the horizon for Bill and Ted, you look at the poster on your left and it's like, I don't care. This doesn't do much for me. Now, why do they release a bunch of posters when they make movies? Well, money, 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 money. And in a lot of cases, they will release posters with different feels and designs for obvious reasons. So I understand the business side of why they do this, but I'm not a big fan of it. I don't hate it. I mean, it's not like it's an awful poster, the one on my left we're talking about here, for those of you that are just tuning in. But clearly, when you look at something like that on the right, or this poster here, I mean, it's just, I would have that up on my wall, the one on your left, as opposed to the right any day of the week. So, we'll see. I don't know. Comment below and let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you feel the same way? In the chat room, do you guys feel the same way? I don't know. It's kind of how I feel. And the trailer, like I said, I liked it a lot better. I liked it a lot better, and took me a second watch to realize that, no, that was actually Ted's daughter. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah. And clearly, like I said, on second watch, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's totally a girl. So that's kind of cool. Like, I am interested to see the dynamic between Bill and Ted and their the dynamic between Bill and Ted and their daughters and their families. that's kind of cool. You know, there's a lot of opportunity there. There's a lot of opportunity for some warmth and some heart there, which is clearly going to make its way into the movie. I mean, that's an opportunity that is likely to take place. It's an opportunity that there are lessons that Bill and Ted can teach their daughters. So that, you know, obviously that's going to happen. Their daughters are probably going to make a few mistakes, or they're also going to surprise their fathers as well, right? I didn't know you had the strength that you clearly have. You know, I just want to let you know I love you, and you'll always be my daughter. You'll always be my dad. You know, you know how these things go. I mean, it's not, listen, we know we're going to get some variation of that. That's not a spoiler. That's just really how these things work. And just, you know, sort of the nature of the game. So, and that's cool. That's fun. Like, I'm really looking forward to seeing that dynamic, you know, but I don't know if I would just center the kids on the poster, not center them in like, I mean, in center, but have them on the poster as prominent figures. I don't know if I would do that. I wouldn't put them in the phone booth because I think they're probably likely more prominent characters that if you were to put them on a poster, you would put them on the poster like the way you did, and you wouldn't just shove them into the phone booth as an afterthought. I probably wouldn't have done that either. But I don't think I would have put them on the poster at all. It just feels, anytime you put children on posters, that's what it is, folks. Anytime you put children on posters, in a poster that has such color and such a sense of like it looks like the cover to an R.L. Stine book. Like it does. Like it looks like, you know, like the cover to a Goosebumps book or something, right? Because of the colors, because of the children, you know, and the whimsy to it, I guess. Like not whimsy, but that's not really the right word, but the mystical aspect to it, you know? Because like I said, the mystical aspect of the magic sort of special effect, colorful kind of template is still there. Like it's still there, like you have it on the one that I really like as well. But when you add the kids and you add that they're just sort of standing there staring at the camera, almost breaking the fourth wall, which a lot of movie posters do. But when you have that and you surround that with that look and that color, in the ways that they're standing there too, it's just, hey, you know, I don't know, I just don't like it. You know, and the kids are all like, you know, like it just feels like it's Goosebumps to me. That's all I see, Disneyified. And I'm not really a big fan of that. So this poster on your left right here, I love so much mystery, so much awesome shit. Like that's just great. And I knew when that was released, I knew that wasn't it. I knew that wasn't going to be it. But I would love to have that on my wall because I think that would be really cool. That's a cool poster for sure. So yeah, folks, those are my thoughts anyway on Bill and Ted Face the Music. I was never on the new trailer and the new poster and the posters. I can't say that I was a gigantic Bill and Ted fan. I mean, certainly as a young boy growing up through the 1980s, I do remember when Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure came out. Obviously, I was still very young, but I do remember it. And I certainly remember Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey from 91, I think, because I remember myself and my childhood friend at the time, not Bruce. This was actually about a year before I met Bruce. His name is Derek Watkins. Derek, if you're watching, how you doing, man? Haven't seen him in years. But we were good friends when we were like, 10, 11. And we wanted to make a home movie, and we were going to call it Dave and Derek's Bogus Journey. And we had written it all out, and we had, I remember this one thing, like we wanted to pretend we were on a plane flying to wherever we were flying to. So we got a piece of cardboard and we cut out like the circle of like the plane window, and we stuck the cardboard to like, I think it was my dad's office window. And I had this idea that we would sit a chair next to the window, and it was this piece of cardboard, and you saw like with a circle cut out of it, and you had all this light coming through as if you were sitting next to the window of a plane. I think we filmed some of it, but it was one of those things as kids that you never really finished, you know, and we always thought because our names began with D's, Dave and Derek, Derek and Dave, you know, it kind of had that nice ring to it, you know, for something like a dude movie, you know, Dave and Derek, Derek and Dave's Bogus Journey. It was a lot of fun, you know, yeah, like, but I can't say that I was, you know, that I was ever a gigantic fan, but certainly, I can appreciate, you know, for what they are. And Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was way better than Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. I do think that's true. Bogus Journey has its moments. I'll be very curious to see when I go watch whether there's there's no theaters around here that are open, so it'll probably be VOD. When I watch the movie, I'll be curious to see, being a 41-year-old man now, whether I have fun watching it or I'm just like, it's a little kind of outgrown this. Because as you get, now the trailers look great, but so did the trailers for Dumb and Dumber 2. And there's always that saying where, and it might be a little bit different with the characters of Bill and Ted. But you know, I've said this before on this channel, but there's truth to this. I get it. I understand it. Rowan Atkinson, you know, has always, of course, you know, he plays Mr. Bean, right? Johnny English. And he was asked a few years ago, will you ever do more Bean? And he's like, well, you know, I'm in my 60s now. I think he is anyway. And he's like, you know, there comes a point, there's a threshold when you're playing simple characters, you know, when you're playing simple characters, which is what Mr. Bean is. It's who Bill and Ted are. It's who, you know, what's their faces from Dumb and Dumber. Why am I drawing a blank? Oh my God, this is awful. Anyway, them, right? Why am I drawing a blank? I know it's Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels, but I'm completely drawing a blank on their names. What the fuck are their names? Oh, chat room. Listen, my brain is fried this week. Lloyd and Harry and Lloyd. That's it. Harry and Lloyd. Thank you, folks. Yeah. And so Harry and Lloyd, you know, they're simple people. You could make an argument that between Mr. Bean, Harry and Lloyd, and Bill and Ted, that they might be the simplest of those. But they all have that thing in common. Just simple people, right? Some simpler than others. Rowan Atkinson said something that was really insightful and wise. And I'm paraphrasing, and I'm adding my own sort of interpretation. But he was basically saying that, you know, there's a threshold that when you play a simple character and you're in your 20s or your 30s or even your 40s, you know, it's okay. But once you start to hit your 50s and 60s, it can go very quickly from to, ooh, you just look like a sad old man. Like you look like a sad older guy. Like it's no longer funny. It just becomes kind of sad because there's this, like you almost feel sorry for the character because they look older and they're, do you know what I mean? And there's some wisdom there and there's some truth there. And I think you saw that a little bit in Dumb and Dumber 2. Even though I actually enjoy Dumb and Dumber 2, you know, you look at them and they're 25 years older, you know, or 20 years older and you can see it. You know, and Bill and Ted certainly look nearly 30 years older. Now, Bill and Ted are dudes and bros, so they're not necessarily the same kind of simple that Harry and Lloyd are. They're not, I wouldn't say that they'd be scoring, you know, high on their SATs necessarily, but they're more of the surfer kind of simple. So I think you can get away with that a bit more. Maybe when you get older, you're still kind of cool a little bit, you know, but you know, there's you still run that risk. So I'm curious that when I watch the movie, is this just way past its due date? Like these just look like nearly 50-year-old men, and Keanu Reeves I think is in his 50s if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they both are, but they look like 50-year-old guys just, you know, pretending to be those guys. Like that's almost what it looks like too, that when you get to a certain age, there's that threshold where you no longer appear to be becoming the character, you look like somebody who's trying to recapture the character because the character is best suited for somebody of a younger age. And that's usually where the stereotype is. You don't usually see too many, I know they're out there, but you don't usually see too many interpretations or too many guys in real life of, hey, what's going on, in their 50s or 60s. You know what I mean? It's usually younger, and there's reasons for that. So I'll be curious. I'm curious. I'm going to watch it. I think it looks like it could be a fun Sunday afternoon, just kind of kill a couple hours, not necessarily an amazing movie, but not a bad movie either. Or maybe it'll be the best of the bunch. I don't know. But I'm certainly curious on seeing it. And the second trailer definitely did more for me than the first trailer. I got much more of a sense of adventure. I just wasn't crazy. I just thought the poster was too gimmicky. It was too, not gimmicky. No, just too, yeah, just everything I've said about it. Everything I've said about it. If you're just tuning in, go back and watch it. Hey, let's go over to the chat room, see what you guys are talking about. Let's see here. Some super chats came in. Intel Wild, thank you very much, buddy. Well. Good morning, Dave. I usually only say well on two dudes. Nick Kunda sends in a super chat. Thank you, Nick. Says, hey, Dave, did you get my question on Patreon? Also, I want to donate to Billy, but I got screwed on a new car, so money is tight. Really sorry. That's okay. Hey, man, you come first. You come first. A car is very important. Did I get your question on Patreon? I'll have to go back and have a look, Nick. I'm sure I did, and I had every intention on responding, and then things have just gotten so busy. Let me go back and have a look later today, and I'll see if it's there. And thank you for submitting that question. And also, like I said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You come first. You need a new car. You need a new car, man. Cars aren't inexpensive. Intel Wild says, Dave, we're at 58% US right now, 65% by the end of tomorrow's Billy-a-thon. Oh, I don't know, man. That would be quite a few thousands of dollars raised tomorrow. We shall see listen, I'll be happy if by the end of tomorrow's Billy-a-thon, that if we can just get to 60. If we can get to 60%, which is really only $1,000 more from where we are now, it's about 36,000 Canadian. And right now, we did very well yesterday. We're sitting at 360 backers, $34,904 Canadian. So about another 1,100 or so will put us at 36,000, which is I think about 60% of the production budget. So I'll be happy if we can just get there. And because, we have to be realistic, right? I mean, the chances of raising thousands of dollars in super chats is anything's possible, but it's not a high probability. I will be happy with anything people want to help out with. And of course, you don't have to help out with just super chats. You can go over to the campaign and donate and pick up perks as well, which of course we'll be talking about. Andrew L, thank you, Andrew, says, can't wait for It's Me, Gabriel-a-thon. Yes. Yeah. For those of you that don't know what Andrew is talking about. Yeah. Intel Wild says, are we going to talk about the Gabriel troll? No, I don't care. Look, I posted about it. There were a few people that were like, Dave, it's okay. Don't worry, man. We got your back. And I'm like, no, folks, you're misinterpreting my reason of posting it. I wasn't posting it going, oh, look, this guy. I was posting it because I thought it was hilarious because it's completely absurd, And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, on social media, I received a message yesterday from somebody that said, let me just get the actual post that I made so I can get the actual, because I did quote it exactly. Yeah, somebody said, Dave, they said, Dave, I hope It's Me, Gabriel fails miserably at the box office. You fucking suck. And I thought it was hilarious. Now, there are a lot of people, I know there are a lot of people that are thinking right now, there's no way that's real. And I totally understand that. There's no way you can be so clueless, so dumb, so out to lunch that you would and because of how much I talk about It's Me, Billy on this channel, that you would mistaken Gabriel for Billy, or Billy for Gabriel. No, mistaken Gabriel for, yeah. There's no way. Oh, there's way. Oh, there's way. Listen, anybody, all you have to do, folks, and not everybody's going to do this, of course, all you have to do is start a YouTube channel, gain a following, be consistent. Oh, there's way. There's a lot, and I'm not talking about anybody personally. I'm not calling anybody personally out. I'm not calling anybody, I'm not talking about anybody specific, even in the chat room. Right now, I'm not talking about anybody. But you know, you in the chat room and you watching after, you know, there's a lot of dumb fucking people out there. There's a lot of people out there that don't know their asses from their elbows. Just start a YouTube channel. So look, was this person just being, dumb for the sake of being dumb? Yeah, maybe. But I've been doing this, not a long time, only a few years, but I've been doing this long enough to know that you think there's no way that, no, there's way. There's way. So I thought it was hilarious. So that's why I posted it. Because I'm like, Gabriel? And then I'm like everybody focuses on Gabriel. Like Gabriel? And I get it, but hello, box office? I'm not releasing my movie in 300 or 3,000 theaters across North America. I mean, or across North America, across the world. I can't do that. I can't. I guess it's me. Gabriel will fail miserably at the box office because there ain't no box office. Anyway, I just thought it was really funny. So for all you that for whatever reason thought I was hurt by it, folks, you should know me now. There isn't a single thing that a troll has said. I've had people say, I'm glad your mother has died from cancer. I've had people say that I'm glad your dad died of a heart attack. I've had people say, I hope you go the way of your parents. It doesn't bother me. Is it rude and is it inconsiderate? Well, yeah, of course it is, but they're trolls. It doesn't mean, it would hurt me more if Bruce said that to me, right? If Bruce said to me, hey dude, I'm glad your mother died of cancer. I'm like, whoa, dude, what the fuck? Some random piece of shit on the internet. I'm glad your mother died of cancer. My mother right now would be like, my father would be like, lame. Doesn't mean anything. Because I don't know them. So, like I've always said, it takes a lot to get under my skin, and it means, if it's easier to get under my skin if it's something personal, right? Because there's an expectation there, like a good friend or a family, or somebody who you trust, or somebody who you respect, or somebody who you look up to, We're back. Sorry, there was a bit of a hiccup there. My apologies, but it looks like we're still on. Let me go back a little bit with what I was saying. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, is that it's really at the end of the day, those things don't affect me because they're not personal. Now the trolls will not stop doing that because they like any sort of attention that you give them, right? So whether it's just even deleting their post, they like that because it gives them attention. So what you want to do with a bona fide troll who has no life and they're just, they have small penises and things like that. You want to be able to, and 99.9999999% of trolls are men. Women don't do this kind of shit. Okay. There are things that women do that men don't do. And there are things that men clearly do that women just don't do. And one of those things are just taking the amount of time that very rarely is a troll a woman. So I can, but anyway, so yeah, it's just, it didn't bother me. For those of you that thought it did, I was posting it because I thought it was hilarious. There isn't anything that any troll has ever said that has ever bothered me. I've had trolls say that you're a nothing voice actor. I've had trolls say that you're everything. I mean, just think of everything under the sun when you put yourself out there, right? You know what I mean? And it's like, it doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care. I mean, if my best friend says, I think you're a fucking shit voice actor. Well, they'd be like, whoa, dude, where'd that come from? Are we okay? Like, what's going on? I mean, that would, because it's my best friend, right? Some random dude on the internet? No. So anyway, so that's a bit of advice, albeit sort of inadvertent advice to anybody out there who has a channel. Just remember, don't worry about that kind of stuff, right? It's not a, they're nobodies. I mean, they are nobodies, who've got nothing, who just have really sad lives. Just remember that. You're better than that. You're better than that, folks. Let's look at there we go. Yeah, can't wait for the Gabriel-thon. Intel Wild says, what's the It's Me, Bill and Ted show? It's me, Bill and Ted show. I don't know. Intel Wild, are we going to talk about the Gabriel-thon? Yeah. Reese Wilson sends in a very generous super chat. Thank you so much, Reese. I really appreciate that. Let me go back up here and see if I can get it. There it is. Reese Wilson says, sometimes it's best to leave things in the past and enjoy them for what they were, like Bill and Ted. It's like if they rebooted Seinfeld today with the OG cast exactly as we remembered them, it would be rather sad. That's another great point, Reese. It's another great point. And it all comes down to when you have those type of characters, it can, again, when you look at the character, it's a great point you just made. When you look at the character of Kramer, right? There's degrees, right? There's degrees of simpleness, right? There's clearly very simple, like cognitively challenged, right? And sometimes those characters can be funny, like in Dumb and Dumber. I mean, clearly they're cognitively challenged. I don't know if that's the PC thing to say now. I mean, I know for a long time it was mentally challenged, but I don't even think that's right anymore. God, I can't fucking keep up. But you know what I'm talking about, right? And there's even degrees of that as well, right? It's not like Harry and Lloyd are inept, although you could make an argument, but I think you know what I mean, right? But clearly they are very simple people. And then there's somebody like Kramer from Seinfeld, who's not like Harry and Lloyd, but he's got a simpleness about him, right? And, Michael Richards is what? In his 60s, got to be close to 70, if not in his 70s, because he was a bit older than the rest of the cast. Like, Michael Richards was in his 40s when he was doing Kramer. So, yeah, he's got to be in at least his late 60s. Yeah, you're right. He comes back and starts going, it's just like, whoa, like you just see this old guy, and there's just a sense of the character. It's always a risk when you play those types of characters. George was never simple. He was just neurotic. George was neurotic. So you could have Jason Alexander step into the role of George again, even at his age, and it would probably be okay. But then you ask yourself, what's the situation, right? And of course, people would want to, it would probably be written that Jerry still lives in the apartment and George still comes over and Kramer's still across the hall and, Elaine is still coming over. And it's just kind of like, Jesus Christ, have these people not progressed at all? And listen, there are people that are like that in the world, right? But it's like, how sad would that be? Jerry still living in his little apartment with Kramer coming over. Giggity, giggity, Jerry. It's like, oh my God. I mean, it's kind of, like Reese brings up a good point. There is a threshold with certain characters and certain situations. That doesn't mean that Bill and Ted have not found a way to kind of go, okay, because that's a different type of simple, if you will, right? It's different. It's not the same simple, like I said, as Dumb and Dumber or Mr. Bean or something like that. So maybe they're on the cusp of their threshold, but haven't quite passed it yet. That's entirely possible too. But great insight there, Reese, because you're bang on, man. You're bang on. Let's see here. Super chat from Brandon Barry. Would you be mad if it's the daughters of Bill and Ted that have to make the song Thanks? Yeah, I think that, yes. Because I have to admit I don't think they were in the first trailer. Were they in the first trailer? I don't think. I don't think they were in the first, sorry, I was just checking something. I don't think they were in the first trailer, if memory serves. And, but maybe they were. I have to admit, when I saw them in the trailer, they're not in it a lot. I mean, clearly it's still a very Bill and Ted focused trailer. But when I saw them, I thought, is this a passing of the torch thing? Now, some people are going to go, no, they wouldn't. Who fucking knows? Nothing is off the table with that kind of thing. And no, it shouldn't be about that. Like, I don't want the movie to end with it's clearly identified and clearly, it's clearly identified, it's clearly laid out that although there may be no more of these kind of movies, because you never know how these movies are going to do, and certainly they were setting up for a theatrical release and not a VOD release, so obviously that does, factor in. But if the movie ends clearly defined, it's clearly defined, I should say, that there was an intent, or at least it's alluded to, of a passing of the torch potentially, that maybe these two kids could. I know what you're thinking. No, why? Come on. No movie fan should ever at any point go, no, come on. I mean, there's degrees. There's certain things obviously that are not likely to happen, but who knows, right? So that I hope not. Because I could see that being used as a device to bring them closer together. Now, it doesn't appear that they have a poor relationship with their daughters. So, but because I think their daughters are, I get the sense that their daughters are probably more like their fathers than they are their mothers. And that's why there's this draw to them, right? But I hope not. I mean, this is Bill and Ted. It's a Bill and Ted movie. Which is why I don't even know why there's daughters in there. Again, I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine, and they're cute kids. I say kids, they're probably, I don't know what they are, 15, 16, not like little kids, but I'm sure they'll play the roles well, and that's good. And I'm happy for the actors, because I think that's really cool. But from a story perspective, I'm just like, why are their daughters in there? I mean, I know it shows that there's a progression. It's been 30 years. They're likely to have gotten married, had kids. Okay, all right. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. But I think we can all agree that we certainly don't want the kids to upstage Bill and Ted at any point, which I don't think will happen, but upstage them at the crucial point, which is what Brandon is talking about. We don't want them to upstage Bill and Ted at the crucial point of the movie, because this is Bill and Ted face the music, not Bill and Ted and Julie and Katrina face the music. I don't even know what their names are. I'd have to look on IMDb. Maybe it says what their names are. Let's see here. What are their names? Looks like it's going to be Thea and Billy, maybe. Oh, I guess no, they do say their names in the trailer, right? Yeah, they do say that. And William Sadler is playing Death again. That's great. Whenever I think of William Sadler, though, I don't think of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. I think of Die Hard 2, Die Harder, where he's the antagonist in Die Hard. And, at the beginning of the movie where there's that guy who's nude and he's doing all that, like that Tai Chi or whatever the fuck he's doing. That's Death. That's Death from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. And he's playing him again in this movie. So that's always good. That's always good for continuity and story and things like that. Let's see here. The Conspiracy Trifecta says they had kids at the end of 2, Dave. Oh, did they? Did they have kids at the end of 2? Oh, it's been so long I don't remember. Well, there you go. It's been so long, I don't remember. I did not know that. Well, that doesn't... Was it these kids? Or was it other kids? Because these kids are too young to be the same kids from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Unless Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is only supposed to take place 15 years later. Or something like that. Or how old are these kids supposed to be? They don't look like they're any older than like 16 or 17 to me. They don't look like they're 25. Or 30. They certainly don't look like they're 30. So I don't know. Again, it's been a long time since I've seen Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. So you'd have to tell me what was going on with the kids at the end of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey and how old the kids were, because these kids don't look very old. Now, the actors might be, like, for example, the actor is, okay, so the actors are certainly in their 20s, okay, but I didn't get that sense when I was looking at them in the movie. Yeah, and Samara's also, she's a lot older. She's almost 30. Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I'll see. It just, again, on first not 15, but on first watch, when I watched the trailer, I got a sense of these feel like teenagers to me. Like 16, 17, they feel like teenagers. Now, one of the big reasons why that could be is because they're doing this and they're having that young, you know what I mean? And there's a juvenile youthful to their characters. So that could be why when I watch the trailer, I get, they feel like they're teenagers to me. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Justin Simonson says, new movie takes place 25 years after the second, but it's 29 years since the second. So 25 years after the second. So then that means they are, yes, I saw that. I just looked that up, dude, looked up the actresses. But again, the actresses can be a certain age, but not necessarily always playing the age that they actually are. So at the end of the day, it's irrelevant how old the actors are if they can play different ages. And these actors could clearly play somebody who was 18, no problem. So that's why I thought that looking at them, for me, they look like teenagers. But it's also because of their performances, their characters there's a youthful juvenileness to it, right? There's a juvenileness, if I can use that word, to Bill and Ted, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. So, okay, so let's go. Okay, I'll have to go back and watch Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, because admittedly, it's been a long time since I've seen that one. I've seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure far more than I've seen Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. So I will go back, watch Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and if dude here is saying that it takes place 25 years later, well, then that makes sense then. That makes sense that they would be 25. And okay, yeah, I guess I could buy it. Sure, thinking about it, okay. Have to watch the movie and see, but good to know. Good to know. David versus Goliath sends in a super chat and says, charge $49.95 for Kills on VOD. There's no way they won't make $250 million. There's a lot of way they won't make $250 million. You can't say we won't be in the same situation a year from now. Leaks are coming. Yes, David, the chances of making, first of all, if you were to charge $50 to watch Kills, there's a lot of people that won't watch it. There's a lot of people that won't do that. You might do it, and you might know a lot of people that'll do it, but there's no guarantee that the vast majority of people will do it. Because what you have to understand is that the reason why Halloween 2018 made $250 million at the worldwide box office is not because everybody was a Halloween fan. It's because it was released in theaters in October, okay? And it was appealing to everybody. So you had your Halloween fans, you had your horror fans, and you had your general movie audience fans that wanted to watch a horror movie at Halloween time. That, by the way, is the vast majority of your audience. That's the vast majority of your audience. Now, if you charge $49.95 to watch Halloween Kills on VOD in October, will a lot of people buy it? Sure. But they'll be mostly Halloween fans. And unfortunately, that's not going to be enough to make $250 million. Because the average person who wants to watch a good horror movie at Halloween time is going to look at that and go, I'm not paying fucking $50 for this. But they'll pay $12 to go see it in the movie theater. Because the emotional nostalgic attachment is not there for them. Right? So the probability is low that they would make that. And the probability is even lower that they would charge $50 US, by the way. You got to keep that in mind. That's US. So that's over $70, or what would that be for me? $49.95? Let's see. USD. Because that would be US, clearly. So it would be $67 for me here in Canada. $67 here for me in Canada. I'm not paying $67 to watch a 90-minute movie. on VOD. I'm just not doing it. You know. Now, it's the, I know it feels like, you know, just charge $50 and everybody will buy it, but everybody won't buy it. And statistics have shown that. And like I said, you have to keep in mind the vast majority of the reason why Halloween made that kind of money is because the general movie-going audience went to go see it. You know, and all the Halloween fans and the horror fans too. But the general audience is far bigger than niche areas of fan bases. And we sometimes forget that when we live in our bubble of horror. We just think that everybody thinks the same way we do and sees it the same way I do. No, I mean, Bruce came with me to the world premiere of Halloween because of me. Not because he's a gigantic Halloween fan. Bruce isn't a gigantic Halloween fan. He likes Halloween. He likes it. He likes the character. Yeah, he does. He absolutely does. But he's not like you and I. Would Bruce have gone to see Halloween on his own in the movie theater without me? No, probably not. So it's those people that are the vast majority of your audience lifting things over 250 million worldwide. It would be different prices in different markets too. You know, it's not going to be the same price in the US as it will be here, as it will be overseas, you know, as it will be in Australia. It's a, I know it seems like a foregone conclusion, but there's no movie, not that, you know, it's been we have a lot to draw from, but there's no movie that's ever made that kind of money on VOD, ever. Even charging $20, you know, and we saw what happened. You charge $20 for The Hunt and The Invisible Man, you know. I know what you're thinking. Yeah, but that's not Halloween. No, it's not. It's not Halloween. You're right. Is Halloween going to make some money? Sure, it would. It would. But it's not going to make $250 million. It's not. So they won't do it. They want to give them the best probability of success for the movie theater and that business model, because that's where it's going to be. And listen, somebody's going to spend $49.95, sure, but the vast majority of people will say, go fuck yourself. I'm not paying $50 to watch a 90-minute movie. Go fuck yourself. The vast majority, and we'll say that. Especially when there's no, you think Bruce is going to spend $50 to watch Halloween Kills? He's not fucking spending $50 in Halloween Kills. There's no way. There's no way. Would I spend $50 on Avengers? No. Because I'm not a big Avengers fan. You know what I mean? So it's just not going to happen. There's not enough. It wouldn't happen. I know it might seem like it would, but it just wouldn't happen. Wouldn't happen for a few of the reasons that I've mentioned here. Let's see here. Danita Brown, hello, Danita, says, true, as much as I love Halloween, and I do love it, I would never pay $50 to watch it at home. There you go. There it is. There it is. Let me see here. David versus Goliath says, love you, Dave. Gonna support It's Me, Billy, soon. Amazing, David. Amazing. Thank you so much. We love you too, man. Amazing. Amazing. You're just amazing. Gamer Luna 03 says, I'm not a big Halloween person. I like Nightmare on Elm Street more, but I want to watch Kills and Ends because I liked H18. That's great. That's great. Well, you'll get it next year. Next year. Reese Wilson says, why pay $49.95 for H Kills on VOD when you can donate $49.95 towards me? Reese working that producer. I see what you did there, you son of a bitch. I love it. I love it. I like that. It's true. It's true. It's true. Oh, it's true. It's true. If Tony was here, he'd be like, oh, it's Kurt Angle. I didn't even know he said that. I didn't even know Kurt Angle said, oh, it's true. Oh, it's true. And now every time I say it, I think of Tony calling me out being Kurt Angle. It's just funny. Tony, if you're watching, shout out to you. Let's see here. The Movie Fanatic says, Dave, do you love the Godfather movies? If so, which Godfather movie do you prefer, Godfather 1 or 2? I think I prefer I haven't seen them in a while, but I think I prefer the first one over the second one. The third one I've only seen bits and pieces of. I I want to watch them again, actually, because my girlfriend and I the other night almost watched the first one again, but we settled on Changeling from 2008 with Angelina Jolie, which was amazing, by the way. I loved that movie. I've been wanting to watch it for, well, it's been 12 years since it came out. I've wanted to watch it. I just never, ever got around to it. It was one of those movies that you wanted to watch the second it came out because you loved the premise so much. It's my kind of movie, you know, my kind of mystery. I just never got around to it. And then finally last weekend, there it was on Netflix. And I'm like, oh, you want to watch it? And she's like, yeah, let's watch it. So I was like, all right, let's watch it. But we were kind of going through the thumbnails and we not almost, I shouldn't, because it was kind of, because, you know, it's a 3-hour movie, right? The Godfather. It was already late, but we had thought about it for a brief moment. We're like, oh yeah, we got to watch that. We got to watch that again. Because she hasn't seen it in a while either. Let me see here. Mystery Moji Film says, especially when you spend $50 and don't even get to keep it after 48 hours. That's a good point too. That's a very good point too. Yeah. You're spending $50 and you don't get to keep it. You know, it's not like you get to watch it again. You'd probably have to spend another $50 if you want to watch it again after the 48-hour period. That's a very good point, man. That's a very good point. Yeah, nobody's going to spend that. Nobody's going to spend $50 to watch. I mean, somebody will, obviously, you know, but not enough to make $250 million at the box office. Jason, not even close. As a matter of fact, you'll do yourself a disservice putting it at $50. You're better to put it at 20. 100%. Doesn't mean you'll make $250 million, but Jason K says, Dave, are you amazed after 27 years, finally Hollywood made a highly faithful video game with 2020 Sonic the Hedgehog? I still have not seen Sonic the Hedgehog. I got to watch it because I can't say I was a big Sonic fan. I did, when I was very, very little, like between the ages of, 0 and like 6, we did have an Atari. And I do remember playing on the Atari in the early 80s. And then along came Nintendo in 85. And I didn't have my own Nintendo until about 89 because my stepbrother between 85 and 89 had a Nintendo, his Nintendo. So I just played off his. And I remember getting like Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario 2. I got Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for Christmas. I still remember the code. If anybody wants to face Mike Tyson right now on Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, I still remember the code off the top of my head. After over 30 years, I still remember it. I don't know where I got it. Maybe it was one of my stepbrother's friends that had it or something. And I still remember it to this day. 007-373-5963. At the beginning of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, if you punch in 007-373-5963, you will go instantly to Mike Tyson and skip everybody else. Which, by the way, I did do on many occasions, but I also did beat the game and beat Mike Tyson. Having gone through everybody. So yeah, so I had that. And then in 89, I moved to Ottawa, Ontario, to live with my dad. And of course I couldn't take the Nintendo with me. So for that Christmas, I got a Nintendo and that was great. And then in the early 90s, when Nintendo introduced the Super Nintendo, there was also the Sega Genesis that was being introduced. And I remember going over to a buddy's place when I was like, 11 or 12 or 13, and he had a Sega. And he had like NHL 91 or 2 or something at that time. And I was like, oh, this is so much better than Blades of Steel on Nintendo. Like, this is like the graphics were like mind blowing. Of course, they look ancient now, but at that time they were like mind blowing. And it was like, oh my God, this looks like hockey, So I was so obsessed with that game that all my friends were, not all my friends, but a lot of my friends were going the Super Nintendo route and like Mario Kart and Super Mario Brothers and all that kind of stuff. I think Mario Kart was was Mario Kart for Super Nintendo? Or was that for Nintendo 64? That might have been Nintendo 64. Anyway, whatever came with the Super Nintendo. Super Mario, what's that? Super Mario World. I think it was called Super Mario World, I think that's what it was called. Anyway, a lot of people had that, but I went the Sega Genesis route because I wanted the hockey. And so I ended up as a Sega guy for basically the early to mid 90s. And I had Sonic, because Sonic came with the Sega Genesis, like how Mario came with Nintendo. And I played Sonic. I mean, I liked it. I didn't like it as much as I liked Super Mario Brothers. And I didn't really, I played Sonic, but it was just kind of like, I was never a gigantic Sonic fan. So I have yet to see the movie. So I definitely want to see the movie. Let me go over here. Can you guys hear me? Hopefully you guys can hear me. Can you hear me okay? Is everything okay? Because the last time I switched to this view, nobody could hear me. Can everybody hear me okay? I want to see if it's fixed. Is it fixed? Can people hear me? Ba-na-na-na. Yep, people can hear me. Yep. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Yep. Okay, awesome. Because remember the last time I switched to this view, which, sometimes I like to do, and nobody could hear me. And I was like, oh my God, nobody can hear me. What the fuck's going on? Okay, let's see here. Let me scroll back. A super chat did come in from SBC Bird 3171993. Says, hey Dave, so I watched the original Psycho the other day and it was awesome. Which classic Hitchcock film would you love to see get remade or remastered? Ooh, dude, remade or remastered? I don't know. Psycho, it's funny. Psycho is a film that the remake of Psycho in 1998 should have been better than it was. I think doing a carbon copy beat for beat, almost literally, like there's a beat for beat remake. You know how some people were like, The Force Awakens is nothing but a beat for beat remake of A New Hope. No, it's actually literally not. It's actually literally not true. You want a beat for beat remake? Go watch Vince Vaughn and Anne Heche in Psycho from 1998. That's literally almost a beat for beat remake. You know what I mean? That's a remake, Anyway, a beat for beat one. Of course, it was also supposed to be as well. But anyway, so, Psycho was one, because of the premise of Psycho, it would be interesting to see something like that modernized. I mean, it's blasphemous. It's blasphemous to do it, not because you can't do it, not because you could not achieve a remake of Psycho that maybe is really good and really well done, classy, theater of the mind, eerie, you know what I mean? And a really, really good, respectful remake. Of course that can be done, but there are certain movies that enter the stratosphere of untouchable, and sort of go beyond pop culture into a realm of just a world that is just all their own, because of its history, because of its influence, because of its impact on pop culture and its influence on filmmakers and fans. And Psycho, the first Psycho, is one of those movies. And unfortunately, I think because you had a bad remake in 1998, although I'm sure there's some people that like it, but the general consensus is that it's just, it's shit. And I get it. If you were to announce remaking Psycho now, because people would be like, they tried to do that already, and Vince Vaughn and Anne Heche, and of course, because that's the world of fandom, right? And I get it. I understand it. It's you've tried to do it once already and failed miserably. Oh my God. But Psycho could, it is ripe for something like that, but something that's really classy. Like you walk away going, oh my God, that was so beautiful. What a great tribute, they just did a fantastic job. My favorite Hitchcock film, actually, though, I do like Psycho a lot. and it's definitely up there. But I think my favorite is his 1954 film, I believe, 6 years before Psycho, Rear Window. I like that. I also quite like Rope as well. Rear Window is great. And they have redone that. I know Christopher Reeves, I believe, did that in the 90s. When he actually was in a wheelchair. So that was an opportunity for him that sort of worked very well with that character. But Rear Window is one that, you know, could be interesting. The premise might be a little, I don't know, you know, because of the audience today and things like that. It's essentially one location. I don't think there's anything that's untouchable. I just think that convincing the fan, see what the hardest part is this is the hardest part. And this is sort of the difficulty that filmmakers and studios have when wanting to maybe remake something that is seen as a classic. Listen, there's no movie that needs to be remade, right? But sometimes, and certainly there are a lot of remakes out there that are terrible, that are bad. And that doesn't, you know, help with the cause either. Unfortunately, we've entered a world, and we've been this way for a while, but it's really picked up steam here because of everything going on in the world and how everybody's just fucking angry at it, you know, at everything. That you mention the word remake or, you know, reboot or reimagining, what have you, and it just makes everybody throw up instantaneously. Like, you can't do anything without anybody already thinking it's going to be fucking shit. It's fucking shit. And they haven't even written a script. There isn't even oh, hey, did you hear that they're going to remake Rear Window? Yeah, fucking bullshit. It's gonna be shit. It's gonna be fucking shit. It's bullshit. That's just the world of fandom. That's what it is. And if you're really emotionally attached to the original, it's just, you know, that's elevated to heights that are just unbelievable. And I get the skepticism. I think that there is, that's important, you know, that it's good to be skeptical. And I do think that there is there's some validity to being skeptical because people have been burned, right? People have been burned. I always take the approach of cautiously optimistic. You've heard me say that on this channel a lot. So, you know, like for instance, with the Chucky teaser, the Chucky TV show, and how I talked about how the teaser really didn't do much for me. But I said it doesn't, you know, I don't know what Mancini we're going to get, you know? Yes, that's right. Darren Sands, Disturbia. Yeah, that's right. That was a Rear Window. Yeah, that was, for all intents and purposes, it was a Rear Window. I wouldn't necessarily call that a Rear Window remake, but certainly they're using it's like calling, When a Stranger Calls, a Black Christmas kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's a remake of Black. Well, they're using the premise of somebody in the house making the phone calls who actually is in the house the whole time. Certainly that's it. They're using that trope. And I think Disturbia used that trope and used it very effectively. It was actually a very good movie. I don't know if I would call Disturbia a remake of Rear Window, but it's a very good point. It's a very good point. They're using that trope, seeing something, you know, the neighbor, and think you see a murder and you're like, oh my God, what's going on? And you try to convince, but there was, Disturbia had a lot more going for it that I think allowed it to stand on its own in a lot of cases. I mean, obviously the ankle security bracelet was, you know, Shia LaBeouf's character's wheelchair, right? You know what I mean? So, yeah, like definitely they took the basic premise and modernized it and made it their own. So yeah, I guess, you know, in from a certain point of view, for all intents and purposes, as I like to say, you could look at that as a remake, but, I've never really thought of it as a remake. Like even when I saw it, I think I saw Disturbia in the theater, I think. Even when I saw it, I remember thinking, oh, they're using that kind of thing, but I never really thought of it as, yeah. Anyway, but you're bang on though. You're bang on. But unfortunately, yeah, like we just live in this world now where, you know, sometimes like sometimes movies are doomed to fail before they even hit the theaters. Like I saw the Ghostbusters film, 2016. It's a fine little movie. Is it a great movie? No. But it's not the toxic cesspool of dog shit that everybody either says it is or says it was going to be. It just isn't. You have Paul Feig, who's a very competent comedy director. He directed Bridesmaids. He directed Spy. He directed The Heat. Those are good comedy films, well-paced, well-executed, well edited, well put together, great rhythm to them. Paul Feig's a talented director. What set people, it's feminism and it's the ladies. But if you just watch it on its own, it's fine. It's fine. It's not the Ghostbusters we wanted. And maybe it wasn't the best idea to do this. But if you look at the movie itself is fine. Do I like everything about it? No. But it's not Halloween 5. It's not Halloween Resurrection. It's not Freddy's Dead. Let's be honest here, right? But that movie that movie could have been fucking spectacular and people would be shitting on it. So unfortunately in the world of fandom, you're already behind the 8 ball just of the mentioning a remake of anything. Unless, of course, there's a movie that was dog shit and the general consensus is it's dog shit. And then somebody says, we're going to remake it. Well, you might be okay there because people might be like, oh, good. Yeah, that fucking thing was dog shit. I don't want to fucking see that. But if the general consensus is that there's a love and affection for a certain film and you say that you're going to remake it to modernize it, good luck. Yeah, already. It's Christopher Nolan. I don't care. But it's Spielberg. But it's got Leonardo DiCaprio. We'll give you free tickets. Okay. Darren, I remember you saying that, Darren, that you worked on the 2016 film and it tore you apart being such a fan of the original. Yeah, certainly it certainly I can understand, because I'm a big fan of the original as well. And I certainly can understand what people, why it was difficult for a lot of people. But the movie in and of itself, just on its own, it's not a bad movie. It's very entertaining. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed watching it more so than I thought I was going to because the trailers were dreadful. The trailers were awful. So my expectations were so low that when I went into the movie, I was like, oh, this is actually, it's not a bad little film. You know what I mean? It's well put together. If you can get past the idea that they are remaking one of the most beloved comedy supernatural movies in history, and sometimes that's hard for people to get past, but I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think it's an awful movie. I really don't. But I certainly couldn't care less if they made a sequel to it. That's for sure. I don't care. Let me see. Michael Dean says, Dave, if a movie is a direct-to-video, does it necessarily mean it's a bad movie? Is there any direct-to-video? No, not at all. Well, it depends. Now, direct-to-video really is... That stigma around direct-to-video is beginning to sort of go away a bit. And the reason for that is because of streaming. And the more popular that streaming is becoming, the more credibility that streaming is getting. And the more credibility, that's one of the reasons why Netflix started to move into the game of almost being a movie studio and producing their own movies, albeit for a little while there, they were producing dog shit original movies. But they've produced some that haven't been too bad. And, that's sort of it's sort of the modern day version of, straight to video, right? Yes, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, if your movie went straight to VHS, straight to the video store shelves without a theatrical release, there's a number of reasons for that. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad movie, but it generally is because there's just no box office potential. It's not a movie that it's either not a movie that they feel would do well at the box office, or it's a movie that its budget is so low that, there's a lot of straight to video horror movies. The I Know What You Did Last Summer series had one. There's a lot of that they're just not those kinds of movies. The budgets are not high. The marketing is not there. And when you release them, yes, they're generally, in terms of their production value and, the way they're put together, and generally speaking, they do not, measure up against the more polished, produced movies that spend millions and millions of dollars, because they need to put them in the movie theaters to be able to recoup that cost. Because, like I said the other day on the show, you have to remember that that's borrowed money, right? The studios borrow money from the banks, and there's interest on top of that. So when you spend $100 million to make a movie, we got to put that thing in the movie theater because we need to pay that back, and the marketing cost and interest. There's interest on top of that as well. So generally speaking, way back in the day, straight to video movies were not movies that cost, $50 million to make, so their production value was not as high, and there was just no need to put them in the movie theaters, and because of their production value and their more amateur, homey feel to it, nobody would pay to go see a movie like that in the theater anyway. However, that's changing, and that's been changing for a while. And now, if something goes to VOD, which is sort of that kind of thing, or straight to video, it's becoming less of a stigma. It's still a stigma because the movie theater is still seen as the gold standard. But it really comes down to what you're spending on your movie. It's not like they're going to spend $150 million on making a movie and its intention is to go to VOD. Not right now, because the business model isn't there, or straight to video. Nobody's going to spend $200 million in a movie and go, let's just go straight to video, because they're just not going to make the money. They're just not going to make the money back that they need to and pay back, the banks and, so yeah, I'm not an expert in this field, but certainly that's probably a Cliff Notes version of why. But I think that stigma's changing a little bit, and I think we're seeing more and more straight to video, which again is more streaming today, becoming a little more legit. But will we see the day that they spend $275 million on a movie and release it to streaming? They've spent a lot. Look at The Irishman, right? They have spent a lot. Will that become the regular, though? Commonplace? I don't know. Like, at this very moment in time, if you want your movie to make the most money possible, at this very moment, this very second, it would be the movie theaters. But things are changing. There are things that there is an attractive side to streaming. They just got to adjust it so movies like Tenet and Star Wars and Marvel can make money that way too, because right now they just can't. Certainly not enough to justify it. Robert Thidoff says, Dave, weird question. I love weird questions. Will you and Bruce have to mail all the It's Me Billy items for the campaign by yourselves? Yeah. Unless we were to hire somebody, yes, we are doing all of that. Oh yeah. Yeah. We have to package everything. We have to ship it all out, and we'll do it in phases. Like, we're not going to, right now we have 360 backers. So that's 360, people, right? And that's going to be even more of that going out, because some people bought a few things. There are people that are associate producers who have several things that'll have to be shipped out, but we do it in phases. Like, myself and Bruce will be in constant communication with everybody, right? And obviously the Blu-rays is not something we can deliver on until the movie's done and we put it on the Blu-ray. So that's not going to be till well into next year, if we get to shoot at the end of this year. But there are some perks that people have got that we can deliver on fairly immediately. Like IMDb credits and, posters. We might be able to do that. Of course, that might be later in the year as well, because we need to get everybody together to sign it, and things are just opening up right now where we can actually get together and things like that. But I mean, we'll be in constant communication, and then we'll ship them out in phases, right? So it's like, okay, like, next year it's like, okay, so the first, 50 people, these people, we're shipping you your Blu-rays, right? And then of course, another couple of weeks or something like that, when we get more made, and then we'll ship those out, but we'll never leave you guys hanging. Like, we'll always be in communication, keeping you updated what we're doing. It's a lot of work, as you can imagine, right? It's a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of shipping, a lot of packaging, and like Vince is still, I don't know if he's still, I don't think he's still shipping out. Not from the campaign of a couple years ago, but I know that like a year later, after his Never Hike Alone, he was still shipping out stuff because there were so many people. And with Never Hike in the Snow, he had over 1,000 people just buy a Blu-ray. Over 1,000 people just bought the Blu-ray. That doesn't include all the other shit. So when Never Hike Alone is, I know that he's going to be shipping those out for probably quite a few months, So, but yeah, no, it takes time, but we will definitely be in communicado with everybody. Let's see. Did I miss any super chats? I don't think I did. David versus Goliath, was the last one. That's good. What are we up to here? We are been streaming now. We'll go for a little bit longer. Go for a little bit longer here. For some reason, I think I need to be maybe further away. Yeah. All right. I think I need to prop this up a little bit. I was trying to rework that. But yeah, cool stuff. Michael Dean says, Dave, if a movie... Oh, I already read that. Oh, and are there... Sorry. I got to go off of these tangents. Are there any directed video movies that I like? I don't know. I'd have to think about that, to be honest with you. I'm not really entirely sure because I can't think of any off the top of my head. Like, I mean, straight to like video. Like not streaming, but video. Like like back in the day or early 2000s or something. I'm not really sure. It's a good question, though. It's a good question. I got to think on that. Blue Raven Film says, hey, Dave, in the original Black Christmas, when Billy is singing the rhymes, is that a real nursery rhyme or was it made for the movie? No, it's a real nursery rhyme. Yeah. Little baby bunting, daddy's gonna hunting, to wrap something in rabbit. I forget now. Rabbit skin to wrap his baby bunting in. Yeah. In the movie, Billy says to wrap his baby Agnes in instead of baby Bunton in. But yeah. Little baby Bunton, daddy's gonna hunting to fetch what is it? Fetch a little rabbit skin to wrap his baby Agnes in. Yep. DMT Infinity says, Dave, is voice acting something you have to be born with the talent to do on the level you are able to, or does practice make perfect? Because I would love to be able to do voice act like you. Well, I always say this, any artistic medium, whether it's acting, whether it's painting, drawing, there is usually an inherent talent. It's just, I always tell people when I was teaching an introductory course into the world of voice acting, I taught it for about 11 years here at LIFT in Toronto, which is the Liaison of Independent Filmmakers of Toronto. And I taught about four times a year. I taught a one-day introductory course into the world of voice acting. I just sort of outgrew it, which is why I stopped. And, but I used to say to them all the time, and I firmly believe this, you can teach technique, but you can't teach talent. You either have it or you don't. It's just the reality, I mean, I'm fortunate that I come from that kind of a family. My dad was somebody that could do all the voices and I always loved that kind of thing. I'm a very extroverted person. I'm a very, I do have an introverted side to me. But certainly if I am like on the show here or performing or, I can turn it on and I can turn it off. Like, and I, can turn it off like that, right? It's just the kind of person I am. I'm an actor. I'm a performer in that sense. And certainly being able to, come from that kind of a family, a loud family, an extroverted family, and not being afraid to explore that side of my character and my personality certainly helps. That doesn't mean that I'm going to be successful at whatever it is that I'm trying to do, but certainly having a certain level of talent helps. There are a lot, like I've often said this, there are a lot of wonderfully talented, well, it's like you can teach technique, but you can't teach talent. Talent is a reality of any performing art. It's a reality of anything you're doing that is creative, whether it's filmmaking, photography, acting, singing. Are we to say that can anybody sing? No. So there are some people that are just born incredible singers. They have the talent. And now, for those of you that want to get into a certain thing, you can certainly learn techniques to make you better, and you can certainly become better. But is there a magic red button that's going to make you Celine Dion? No. Is there a magic red button that's going to make you, Frank Welker, who's you've heard him thousands of times, who's a voice actor? Well, no. Is there a magic red button that can make you sound like Don LaFontaine doing a movie trailer voiceover? No. Can you learn certain techniques? Can you practice and get better? Sure. But it's just a reality. So for me, there really wasn't anything that I learned. I didn't go to film school to do voice acting. I went to film school to learn how to make movies. And I took an acting class, but it wasn't a voice acting class. I learned the art of acting and technique and all that. And that helped, but I was always far ahead of my peers in the classes I took because of my just inherent abilities. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn or be braggadocious about it. It's a fact. There are certain people that just have that it factor. And I think I'm one of those people when it comes to this area, in terms of being able to perform and do voices. And there's a lot of people that have it, right? There's a lot of people that have it. So I think and again, I don't say that in a braggadocious way. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm saying that because I've been doing this professionally for 20 years. And I know I'm confident in who I am and my abilities, what I can do and what I can't do, because I can't do everything. Like a weak point for me is authentic accents, right? You've heard me say that. I can do like voices, like, yes, well, the other day, I can do caricatures. But if somebody was to say to me, Dave, we need you to speak with an English accent, authentic, for 25 minutes, where people actually believe you're from Britain, I couldn't do it because that's not something that I've nurtured or practiced, right? So that's sort of maybe that's always been a weak area for me. But if I was to learn and get better and I might be able to get better and have it serviceable, but I may not be great at it, because my area of expertise is, funny voices and characters and cartoons and things like that. It's the theatrics. I'm all about the theatrics, right? So, yeah, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but it's a question that I don't get asked a lot, so I appreciate it. But like I said, you can learn technique, you can get better, but if you do not have if you are not a born performer, if you are not somebody that craves the microphone and stage, if you are not somebody that genuinely loves being in front of people, and again, I don't mean that in a pompous way, I mean that because it's who you are. It's who you are. You desire to be that kind of person. It's built into you. If you're somebody that is timid and shy, generally speaking, you have an interest in something that is a performing art, but you're not, you don't have the personality for it, you're not going to be like me. It's just not going to happen because you don't have the personality for it. And there's a lot of things that people have that I don't have, that I could never be because I'm just not that kind of person. So yeah, you can teach technique, but you can't teach talent. So just keep that in mind. But always remember too, though, and I will leave this question here with this, is that voice acting is not about your voice. Now, you've heard me say that a lot too. Voice acting is not about the voice. It's about your acting and performing abilities. There are voice actors that have great voices. I mean, great fucking voices, but are failing miserably to make a career out of it. And it's generally because they don't understand that this isn't about your voice. It's about your acting and performing abilities. And there are voice actors out there right now that have average voices, not anything special, just an average voice that you wouldn't think twice of, or think twice about, who are hugely successful. And the reason for that is because they generally understand that this is about acting and performing and those nuances, and they're very good at that, right? Especially today. Today, it's huge. Gone are the radio sound and all that kind of, that's a thing of the past. And that's a caricature in and of itself. Today, we're in more of the everyday voice sound when it comes to the world of voiceover. So keep that in mind too. So don't ever let anybody say that, you don't have the voice for voiceover, because it's like, well, there is no voice for voiceover. It's all about what you can do with your acting and performing abilities, no matter what you're doing, So, yeah. So, keep that in mind. Hopefully, I know I went off there, but I very rarely get these types of questions. So it's just kind of fun to do. And it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of hard work. And you have to be consistent, because you will get turned down far more than you ever land anything. That's not personal. That's the nature of the acting business. That's because you're always auditioning far more than you ever are booking, right? Any actor will tell you that, they audition far more than they book because they're always auditioning, and you don't always land it. It's the same with me. I audition far more than I book because I'm auditioning almost every day. I have a couple of auditions to do this afternoon, so keep that in mind. Alexander Dirksen says, Bates Motel is a great reboot. It's different and new, but still the same. The actor of Norman and his mother are great. Love it. Yeah, a lot of people have talked about that, man. I got to check that out because a lot of people are talking about it. Justin Hill says, hey, Dave, are nominated this year for any voiceover... Sorry, Justin. Hey, Dave, are nominated this year... Am I nominated this year for any voiceovers? I don't know yet. I'm not sure because the Voice Arts Awards are not, they're not at Warner Brothers this year because of the coronavirus pandemic. And it's going to be an online award ceremony this year, which is not surprising. So, but the announcements for who's been nominated won't be till, I think, September or October. Might even be October, actually. Might even be October. So I would say, I don't know yet. I have no idea. But if I'm not, that's okay too, because it's been sort of a slow year for everybody. So I don't really know if there's anything, you know what I mean? But I'm just happy with my 4 nominations. I'll take that. That's pretty fucking cool. Let me see here. I'm going back. Cordell says, thoughts on Tyson versus Jones Jr. It's funny. I'm excited. I'm excited because I've always been a big Mike Tyson fan. Obviously, I grew up through the 1980s as a young boy. My brother Neil and I used to talk about Mike Tyson all the time when he was the heavyweight champion of the world. And obviously, his story is a tragedy, but at the same time, it looks like it has quite an impressive ending to it, although it's not over yet. This should be fun. Those are my thoughts. It should be fun. I think if this was a serious bout and this was happening 20 years ago, I think Tyson would probably kill him. He's just bigger and stronger. But Jones might have better stamina, right? It might wear Tyson down. I'm more curious on, this is an exhibition fight. How do you exhibition in boxing unless you're just sparring? I'm very curious on how exhibition this is going to be and whether or not they're not necessarily going to try and kill each other, but whether or not they're going to try and, they're going to put on a show. I think it'll be fun. Frank Riker for the sexy MFers in the chat. Thank you so much, Frank. Really appreciate that. Really, really appreciate that. We'll go another 5 minutes. And then we'll call it a day. Tabitha Short says, Tabitha, hey, it's great to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Says, do you believe that opposites attract as far as being in a relationship? Opposites attract. I think they can. I think one of the good things about opposites I always think that there should be common ground. Like myself and my girlfriend, we don't want to have kids. You know what I mean? Neither of us want to get married, right? So, we're kind of like Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell in that sense, in terms of marriage, right? So that's a commonality and a common ground that can make or break a relationship. So it's always really important on the fundamentals of a relationship that can make or break it to have common ground. When you get into interests, I think it's important that there is some interests that you both share. I think that's important. But I also think it's equally important that there are things that you don't share, because then it's used as a device that you can support your partner with, even though it may not be for you. You show it the love and support that you have for them because it matters to them. Do you know what I mean? And you're showing genuine love and support because you know how much it means to them, so I think that's important too. And you learn a lot. Like there's an opportunity there to teach each other things, whether it's like, hey, like I'll never forget the time my girlfriend bought me Buffalo Sabres tickets. I'm a Buffalo Sabres fan, my favorite hockey team, have been for years. And this is about, because we've been together now almost 10 years. So this is about, I want to say 2012, I think it is. If she's watching, was it 2012? I can't remember. I think it was. Anyway, great surprise. Bought me Buffalo Sabres tickets. So cool. They're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs in Buffalo. And that's always a great game to see in Buffalo, because Buffalo is only about an hour from Toronto. So Toronto fans will often drive to Buffalo because it's cheaper, and they will see the Leafs play in Buffalo. So when the Leafs score in Buffalo, even though it's not Buffalo scoring, there's a huge eruption in the stands. Not quite as loud as when Buffalo scores, but still really loud, where you're like, oh shit, there's like fucking 5,000 Toronto fans here. It's kind of fun. Anyway, so she's not a hockey fan. She had never been to an NHL game in her life. But when she went, what was so cool is that it was an amazing game. It was 5-5 at the end of the third period, and it went into overtime. And it was kind of cool because if Buffalo had lost that game, then they were eliminated from moving into the playoffs. If they won that game, there was still a chance. So it was like a do or die, right? And they ended up winning the game 6-5 in like was it double overtime? Can't remember. Anyways, it was overtime. And by the end of the game, she had lost her voice because she was screaming and rooting and hollering, and it was so much fun. She was really getting into it, and that was a lot of fun, but she's not a hockey fan. She just was there for me, and she was really sort of feeding off of the energy of the crowd and me and the excitement. And it was, not every hockey game is that exciting. So we sort of lucked out there, but, it was fun. And she supported me. She was supporting me in that. And there's been a lot of things that I've done that back with her too. So I think that it's important that you have common ground on the fundamentals, but beyond that, I also think it's important that there are differences so you can share in those differences and you get to learn about each other's passions and interests. So, I have no doctorate, by the way. This is just life experience, folks. Life experience. All right, what do we got? 2 more minutes here. 2 more minutes. Aaron Click says, Dave, I can't remember if you've said whether or not you've seen Dr. Sleep yet. I haven't yet, Aaron. I haven't yet. If you have, what are your thoughts? I loved it. I have yet to see it yet. Let me see. Gary Rangel says, Dave, will It's Me, Billy, give an update on the fate of Jess's character because the movie ended so well without knowing anything what happened to her? I can't tell you that, Gary. I can't tell you that. I can't tell you whether it will or whether it won't. Let's just say that it will, the There is information that you will know. But I can't tell you either way. I can't tell you. I just can't tell you. Oh, sorry. Justin Hill followed up with, I'm still waiting for you to bring the big one home, bro. I appreciate that, man. I am too. Listen, when you get nominated for an award and you're at Warner Brothers and you're there amongst, you're walking red carpets with Rosario Dawson and William Shatner. And listen, everybody wants to win, myself included, but I'm just giddy being there, and I'm just like, holy shit. Like because it almost feels like you don't deserve to be there. You know what I mean? Because you're like, holy crap, but like that alone is fine. I want to win. And when it comes time and I see my name up on the big screen and, and the winner is, and the Voice Arts Award goes to, and of course my name's not called. There's always that moment where you're like, oh, damn, God, that would have been awesome. But that sort of goes away really quickly because you're like, fuck, I'm at Warner Brothers. And I'm walking around with all these people like, what the fuck? What happened? So like, that's always really cool. But my fingers crossed one day that I will be able to bring it home and I won't wind up like a Susan Lucci. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, Google it. It'll become very apparent. Let me see here. David versus Goliath says, Tim Curry over Bill as Pennywise any day. How about you? Tim, yeah, I think it depends. Cat hair on my mic. I think it depends. I mean, certainly I grew up with the Tim Curry version, and there's definitely something there to be had. There's a nostalgia there. But I mean, there's no doubt that Bill Skarsgård's version of Pennywise was vicious and he was much scarier per se in a vicious, intense way than Tim Curry, but it was just because of it was just the nature of the two different versions. It would have been very interesting. Can you imagine seeing a Tim Curry Pennywise in the modern day It? I mean, not now, because obviously he's in a wheelchair. He's had a stroke. But if Tim Curry was like, 40 years old today, right? Or 30 years old today, and he was cast in the new It, but he had to be that Pennywise, that might have been interesting. That would have been really interesting. Interesting to think about, but nonetheless true. All right, folks. Hey, listen, that's going to do it for me for episode 83 of McRae Live. I want to thank my moderators, my awesome moderators, Frank Riker, Tabitha Shore, Darren Sands, Jason Nike. I say it every show, but I sincerely mean it. You guys are amazing. You keep the flow of the chat going. I appreciate you guys more than you probably know, because having you guys there gives me a sense of security and comfort knowing that. So amazing stuff. Thank you to all the super chats, of course, that came in as well. And to the non-super chats, thank you. Remember, if I didn't answer your question, it's never personal. There's always a lot going on. And in case you haven't noticed by now, I'm very thorough with my answers because, I like talking to you guys and I like giving you guys my genuine thoughts in the moment when you ask those things. And I know sometimes I go on a bit of a tangent, but I always bring you home. I always bring it back. If you can stick with me, I always bring it back. Listen, reminder, tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for my level 3 patrons, if you're watching, there is no Thorazine tomorrow. Thorazine is on Sunday at 11 a.m. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. until 4 p.m., 5 hours. It's the It's Me Billy-a-thon. Bruce Dale will be here with me in studio. We will have a 2-microphone, 2-camera setup. He will be with me for the full 5 hours, answering nothing but your super chat questions. So keep that in mind. It is all super chat questions tomorrow, and we'll have a few surprises along the way as well. So, and then on Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tony and I, 2 dudes and some bullshit, we are watching Rob Zombie's Halloween. That is Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to tune into that as well. So in the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you guys soon. Alrighty. Cheers.